Okay, so this one with Wendy is pretty self-explanatory. After about the first minute or two, it goes glitchy. Would keep hanging up and then trying to call again, and then it would be good for like a minute, and then it would glitch out. We even did it on like separate days. You can tell she's wearing a different outfit here at the end, but yeah, it's good enough. I mean, if you just listen to it, don't try to look at it. I mean, the video is pretty crappy, but Wendy's such a nice person, and I wanted to just put this out there. So again, here's Wendy on for the second time.
Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before we get into it with our guest, well, everyone, Wendy's back on the podcast again. She was on about 2 years ago, and as you can tell right now, she's getting ready for a show. And like I've said before many times, if you couldn't tell, I don't know why you're watching this or doing this in the first place, because I mean, you're at the point right now, Wendy, where it's pretty obvious, where it's like no one's really guessing. Like, wait, are you getting ready for like a show or something like that? So that's great. But
Yeah.
she's coming to us from Nevada, and yeah, again, Wendy, thank you so much for coming back on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, I ask this every time, and it gets annoying, but it's just a great icebreaker. What's the weather like today?
It is hot and rainy.
Well, it's similar to that. It is downpouring in my background right now as we speak. Hopefully, it's not too loud for everyone there. But I mean, obviously, it's been 2 years since we had you on, and we can see that there's been a lot of changes with you. Why don't you just give us an update first off on what you've been up to these last 2 years since we had you on?
Um, I've just been trying to build a lot, so I had a pretty good off season. I
Trying.
mean, not as good as, yeah, trying. I actually was really disappointed that I didn't have the off season I wanted to have because I had some things happen that kind of got in the way. But now that I'm leaning out, I'm pretty stoked with how much muscle I put on. So you don't really see it when you're in that stage, just working and building, and you don't pay that much attention to how big you've gotten.
Is that hard to sort of deal with the fact that like you don't really know until the end how much it's really put off or how much it's really paid off? Because to me that would be one of those things where I just be like, I don't know if I'm doing it right or what's going to end. Is that stressful at all?
It can be, but um, you just gotta kind of hope for the best. I mean, sorry, my TV is going off.
I gotta delete
It
that because
can get
I gotta delete that because
frustrating.
we're gonna get copyright by Netflix for some reason because they'll find a way.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
One time, so no, this is a little tangent, everyone. The podcast. One time, I got copyright strike, and I appealed it, and it got revoked because someone was playing part of a movie with no volume on in the background on the little edge of the TV.
Oh my gosh.
They go insane with
That's
that type
just
of crap.
stupid.
Yeah, yeah, it is ridiculous.
Oh my
But
gosh.
anyways,
Wow.
you were saying.
Where was I?
Again, yeah, I totally forgot everyone.
I've
That's why you
got
don't do
prep
tangents.
green right now. I'm
I know she's
losing
got prep, so everyone, we're
my
gonna walk her through it
track
here, and
of time.
hopefully it'll be fine. But so like that whole process of like waiting to find that change, is it stressful at all, or how do you deal with that mindset of like I put so much work into it, but it's really until like the last few months that I can really see if it's all paid off as much as I want it to.
Um, Honestly, the stressful part for me is how much weight I put on. I mean, being a competitor, you get so lean, and then putting any amount of body fat on you, just feel like you're fat, and you're really not. I mean, you look better than really most the average Joe, actually, but you just have it in your head that you're fat because you're so used to being like super low body fat, and that's the worst part is feeling fat. And so you just kind of have to put your blinders on and know that, I mean, you have to put muscle on, so you have to put a little bit of body fat on to do that and get uncomfortable, get out of your comfort zone, and just deal with it.
Yeah, I'm
Wear
sorry.
some
I'm sorry, but
hoodies and
that's one of the funniest things to me is like I have some of the most in shape people on the planet, and then they think that they're like fat and stuff like that, and I'm just like, okay, you guys are morons, just looking at damn. That's this the normal person in me, but again, that's the whole mindset that you have to have with the sport. Where yeah, I have talked to people, some of the people in the off season, they send me a phone, and they're like, do I look okay? And it's like, oh my god, you're an idiot. But then it's just you got to remember that where you're at on that stage as opposed to where you're at, in your off season as well. And has that gotten easier for you to deal with that as your career's gone on, just sort of dealing with the effects of an off season as opposed to being on prep?
A little bit, yeah. You just have to learn to love your body regardless. And the great thing about off season is, you get to eat more and you're strong and you feel good and have energy. So, I mean, you just kind of, that's the good part about it. Plus, I have a butt.
That too. That too. That also does help. But how are you dealing with the prep brain now? Because like I could not imagine going through that myself, where I am already kind of a forgetful person, and if you multiply that by a prep, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Just I get really scatterbrained and I'm tired a lot, and it's just the normal prep things that we go through. I mean, you're doing a lot of cardio and training and not a lot of fuel to do those things. So
What is one
yeah,
area?
I just get really foggy. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that must be like myself. And what is one area of your body that you think you've improved on the most since we had you on 2 years ago?
Um, I would say probably my lower lats and my shoulders.
What have you done for shoulders? Because every woman and their sister, basically, I've talked to, oh my God, I want nice shoulders. I want great shoulders. I will get killed in the comments down below if I don't ask you what you did for them, because they'll be like, Ryan, why didn't you ask her about shoulders?
A lot of lateral raises, and front raises, the normal shoulder exercises, shoulder presses. And I did them 2 days a week, shoulders and back, 2 days a week. So one day was a heavy day, and then the other day is more of a volume day. So, like, we're talking like 100, you know, or more reps per set on shoulders on lateral raises. So it's a lot of work.
Okay, so it got foggy and like all messed up again and stuff like that. So let's just do the same thing where I hang up. And, again, I'll edit these together. You won't be able to tell the difference, but I'm just gonna quick hang up and then just call me. Well, if we have to do it every 10
Okay.
minutes, so be it. But we'll power through it. All right, hold on 1 second. All right, so there we go again. This is just okay. We're gonna power. Okay, it's good now. So I'm just gonna keep going. All right. So in 3, 2, 1. So you mentioned shoulders, and I mean that is the one body part that I mean every woman and their sister I hear on this podcast. Oh my God, I want to work shoulders and I want to get them to pop and look better. What did you do for shoulders to get them to improve? Because I would get killed in the comments down below if I didn't ask you that.
Uh, a lot of lateral raises, front raises, shoulder presses, just the normal exercises. But I did shoulders and back 2 days a week. I still do. And one of those days, like the first day, is a heavy, heavy day. So we're talking like 8 reps, maybe 8 to 10, and then finish off with some more volume towards the end with like 25 to 30 reps. And then the volume day is more intense, where it's like we're talking like 100 reps or more for lateral raises and stuff like that, just as an example.
100 reps or more. Hey, you got to do what you got to do, and that is awesome. And I mean, has your nutrition at all, like as you put on this size, has your nutrition changed at all, or have you kept it somewhat similar? How's that been?
Yeah, I've been able to eat more. I mean, the more muscle you have, the more you can eat, the more you have to eat to sustain it. So, like right now, I'm still eating a small amount of carbs, which is not normal for me in a prep ever. I've never been able to eat, carbs. So I've got some carbs and fats in my diet still, and so that's kind of nice. I mean,
Okay,
that's
it,
the
it, it
difference. I
got
mean, I
it.
always kind of same.
I was just say it got bad again, so I don't know. Like, move to maybe just a different spot, like on the like on the other side. Move the camera around or something like that. Maybe that might be a thing because, yeah, it now it's good for about a minute and then it goes back to where it's just all fuzzy and all. Hold
Okay.
on, not a problem.
I have my phone plugged in because it was dying.
Oh
So.
yeah. Oh, sometimes that might be the. We'll see though. It's fine.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I'm guess sometimes it has been like that. Whereas
Sorry, now you
people's
get to
phones
look up.
battery gets lower, it sometimes gets a little bit less. That's kind of like sometimes how I know. But hang on, let's see. Hang on. Now it's. I mean, it's our. Hang on. Let's see here. Let's give it just a minute here to see if it gets better. And again, no worries at all. I'll do my best to try to get this, and then all right, here, hold on 1 second here. Here, I'm just recording a video here real quick, and I'll send it to you just so you can see kind of what it looks like. just so, hang on. There, here, I'll send it to you on Instagram or whatever.
I could maybe try the kitchen.
That might work actually, because that's what I think we'd used a few times last time too. Yeah. Let's see.
Different house.
Different house. Okay, so that might be the problem then. Yeah. God damn it, Wendy, why'd you have to move?
I know. Let's see.
All right, and then yeah, I'd say
I'll have to.
yeah, I'd say you can just get it situated, and I'm just gonna quick hang up, and then call me back, and then we'll try it, and then who knows if this works? We'll see, but we'll try it. So I'm gonna quick hang up real quick. 2, 1. And I mean, this has also been just a hard time too, because of, the last time I talked to you was during like the peak of COVID and everything. How did you still maintain this lifestyle all throughout all that? Because like the last time I talked was like September of 2020, and it's been interesting. How did you maintain a somewhat physique? Because I'm not gonna lie, I've ran into friends recently that I haven't seen really since the start of COVID, and a lot of them did not do so good. And I'm not naming names, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. Honestly, all I had was a band and a set of 10-pound dumbbells at home. Um, and so I had a treadmill, so I did my cardio and sometimes would get outside too, just depend on the weather. Um, but yeah, most of the time I did like tons of reps. It was honestly the most annoying workouts ever. Just trying to get pumped up with the bands, and I actually grew a little bit during that time somehow. So
Well, there's a word for it. It's called genetics, everyone. So, there's just some people have it, some people don't. And have you worked on your posing routine at all? I mean, obviously you have like in the last few years, but what would you say have been some of the biggest differences maybe in your routine?
uh just more flow. I'm able to transition a lot better, more confidence. And I mean, bodybuilding is completely, I'm going into bodybuilding, so that's different than physique, women's physique. So um, I feel like that's more the style that fits me better.
What prompted the change? Was it just someone came up to you and said you're getting too big for physique, or how did that go about?
Actually, my previous coach told me that he thought I would do better in bodybuilding. And so it kind of lit that fire because I always liked that better anyway. But yeah, he told me I should try it. So that's what I'm going to try this time. Crossover. I'm going to do both and see what the judges think. And
Are you at least excited that you don't have to do this stupid hands open crap now?
well, I do for physique still. So yeah.
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 That was the one
both,
it's like yeah, that makes it look so much more feminine, everyone. So it's I never did
yeah,
get that in the first place too, but yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, as you're getting more and more closer to the show, do you have like a certain timetable of when you cut certain things and when you do things, or is your coach kind of just like one of those week to week or day to day kind of coaches, or is there like a set schedule? Where do you normally fall on that?
He's day to day, so I never know. I have to send him pictures or videos every day, and then he tells me whether I'm doing cardio that day, which most of the time I do cardio, but like I had yesterday off, which was nice. So, but yeah, he tells me what I'm eating, and I mean, I eat all the same things, but it might be like less carbs or maybe more that day. So,
And I mean, just the mindset that you have to have as you're getting ready for just bodybuilding in general, but like a whole new division. Do you find that it's been easier for you to get into a division now where it's more encouraged to like have that type of size as opposed to physique, where it's like you obviously you can be very big and very huge, but like it has to be a little bit more, I'd say like a little bit more, not toned, but a little bit more shredded? Do you find that it's a little bit more freeing at least to be able to like put on more size for a new level?
Yeah, it's been fun to try to build up to that. So yeah, but it's also different because when you compare what you looked like before to what you look like now, and you feel like you should still look like that, in a previous show or something, but your body's changed. Like my body changed so much, I don't even have like the same muscle bellies anymore, or just I'm just bigger everywhere. So
How's bragging camp working for you?
what's that?
How's bragging camp working for you? I'm just bigger everywhere. Yeah, okay, I rub it in
Well,
more when no, I know. And obviously when you look like that, you deserve I'd be trust me, again, why I don't compete, I would honestly be just naked 24/7, just walking down the street and just posing in front of everyone. So it's for the safety of the public. It's for the betterment of human civilization that isn't a case, as well. But I mean, just this whole sport, I mean, it's been so fascinating because before I had you on, I mean, in between from when I first had you on to now, I mean, 2021 was a huge year in the sport where like a lot of things happened, like a lot of people died. I think it opened a lot of people's eyes about the extremes of the sport and just how far some people really do go and take. And I mean, it was eye opening for me as well, just to see it from an outsider's point of view. What was that like as a competitor? Just sort of seeing that, like, obviously you know about all the stuff and everything, but like it just became a lot more people became aware of just how dedicated this sport is and some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. What was that like as an athlete to just sort of view that?
actually, it was pretty scary to me because, like, I take some of the diuretics and stuff, and PEDs, whatever that the other athletes have taken, and I'm not saying I don't want to get into that, whether some of them died from that or not, I don't know, but I'm sure that sometimes that had something to do with it. Um, but I have stage 3 kidney disease, and so taking anything can really uh, threaten my life if I'm not careful and if I don't have the right coach to who is knowledgeable in that stuff. So yeah, that's pretty scary.
It was
It really. I actually started going to the doctor and taking better care of myself. So
I do think it was a huge eye opener for a lot of people as well, where they just saw what was going on and they said, like, hey, I need to look more into, my own health and I need to make sure I get my blood work done. I need to make sure that I'm on top of that because yeah, it was shocking for me because it was like every week something new was happening and it was shocking to see because it was just happening so frequently. But I mean, getting away from that, I mean, I think things have improved, a little bit. But I mean, even from the last time I had you on, I mean, this sport is ever evolving from 2020 when we had you on to now. What have been some of the biggest changes that you've seen just in maybe what they're looking for, just in the sport in general? Because this is a sport that evolves by year basis, basically.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like it really hasn't changed that much. I feel like they're always looking for leaner, always looking for harder. I don't care what they say. Whenever you look at who they choose, it's always going to be the leaner person. So, I mean, I don't think that's ever going to change. I mean, I could be wrong, but
I think you are onto something there myself, honestly, because yeah, there are some times where you look at people talking about, like, oh, these are the changes that we think are going to happen. And then this is the changes that the judges say they're going to happen. It's like, well, based on what you've rewarded, I don't think that we are on the same page when it comes to what you're really looking at. So that is something that has been, you know, I found that to be funny as well, where they talk about, like, oh, we're trying to, we're trying to limit the size a little bit and stuff like that. And it's like, well, then look at who you're awarding them to. But I mean, is your cardio been different at all from moving up from physique to bodybuilding? Because just the idiot in me that, like, if I had no knowledge about this at all, I'd be like, oh, you're probably doing less cardio because you got to be so much bigger. But how is your cardio compared to now from where it was when you were physique?
no, it's the same. And bodybuilding, you still have to be just as lean. People just don't realize that. You have to be just as lean, you're just bigger. So, yeah, I have to do just as much cardio. I mean, I'm doing an hour and a half a day. So I work my ass off just like anybody else. I mean,
An hour and a
yeah,
half.
it's hard work.
I'm surprised she's forming coherent sentences after all this crap. So
I've done more in the past. I've
Oh
done
my
more,
god,
so.
yeah, I don't. That is, I mean, I go for like an hour and a half walk, normally every night, just because it's something to do and it gets helps, helps with things. But so yeah, but I can't imagine, again, like this is why I think bodybuilders are just those special athletes because they put themselves through so much, and it's just so many little things that aren't really talked about as well. But I mean, with everything that's happened, like everything that we've talked about, and everything that we've discussed, I mean, this sport is it seems like it's in a really good place, but where would you like to see just the sport of bodybuilding in the future? What are some things that you'd like to make change? Like I know I asked the question at the end of like if there's one thing that you could see change, what would it be? But this is kind of more of just like a in your ideal world, like where would you like to see the sport progress?
I'd like to see more support for women's bodybuilding. I mean, they're taking it out of places like Arnold Sports. They don't have any women's
Is there a
physique, any
reason why
women's
they did that? Because I
bodybuilding.
haven't I haven't heard any reason of why it's been eliminated. Have they released like this is why we're doing it?
No, they haven't. And I mean, I don't even understand it because we bring a lot of money to those shows too. I mean, I just don't think it's very fair, but I mean, I feel like it's a double standard. Another change I'd like to see is I think that the women should make more money when they win their shows too. I mean, if you've seen the prize money, it's like nothing compared to what the men win. And the thing is, women have to work extremely hard to get their body fat just as low and to build that much muscle. So, I mean, they're putting themselves through so many extremes. And yeah, it's their choice, and it's not about the money, it's a sport. But I mean, you know,
Oh, it never hurts. Yeah,
I
it never
just,
it
I
it,
just,
it definitely doesn't hurt
yeah.
the money side of things. So yeah, you're not gonna get an argument from me about that. I mean, that is absolutely, I mean, 100% true. And that's another thing that I've talked about numerous times on here that yeah, if I could change one thing, it would definitely be that and among, many other things as well. But yeah, why it got eliminated, I don't understand that, and I wish someone would like come out and just say like this is why we did it at least. But yeah, again, I do not know what's going on there because that is just an absolute ridiculous thing to me. So yeah, I don't get
And
it.
well, and they took it from Universe too. I was actually going to compete at Team Universe in New Jersey, and they took women's bodybuilding out of there. And I mean, I don't know. I just think it's they need to keep it everywhere so that everybody has a chance.
Yeah, that is. I mean, and I was wondering myself. It's like, how do these promoters make so much money doing this? And then I went to my first bodybuilding show last month, the NPC Twin Cities. $35 just to get in for prejudging, and then $45 for finals. And this wasn't even a pro qualifier. So I learned very fast how these people make all their money doing this thing. And it was so the
Yeah,
funny thing is that for finals they had an open bar because it was at a casino. So I was not expecting that. I was like, why are you serving these people booze when they're that dieted down and drink? Yeah, let's go do shots. I wonder how drunk I wonder how quick it's gonna be to get these guys drunk, basically, when you're that dieted. So yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
that was an interesting thing where I was like, why are they doing that? But hey, I was all for that, myself personally. But I mean, what has been some of the reactions that you've been getting, especially during this prep? Because like you said, you're bigger than I've seen you before, at least, and you put on a lot of size. And like I asked before, I mean, it's like, what's that reaction like that you get in public and stuff? It has been any different now that you've even put on more size?
Um, Really, it's kind of the same. I mean, people just you go out and sometimes feel like a circus freak a little bit. I mean, people stare at you and gawk, and sometimes it's great, feedback. Some people are compliment you or whatever, and then others look at you in disgust, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I don't care. But it's funny because little kids are tend to be drawn to me and
That's the funniest thing that I've
really like
recognized
the
with that too. It's like
muscles.
little kids, because little kids don't have that filter and they aren't really like, so yeah, for them it's just all just what is that basically, and then they just, yeah, they gotta go.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm bigger than your dad. That's all you need to know.
Yep. That's always a good excuse to have, or it's always a good comeback to have. But just just everything that goes, like, how is your time management? Because like I know you're a parent and I know that like you do all this other stuff. Like how are you able to do this all throughout? Because like I can't imagine doing this, like having that type of time management, because I'm just the exact opposite, where it's like I am more laissez-faire, where it's, you know, I have a lot of free time. So how do you function doing this, especially on a prep brain?
It can get hard during preps, but I'm a really structured person, so I get up and I go do my cardio and I work and I train about the same time every day. Like I leave certain times open for myself to train and to do my cardio. And I mean, I'm just, yeah, everything's got to get done. So I just make it happen.
Yeah.
I'm scheduled.
Yeah, that's something that I need to work on myself. It has been lacking a lot, but just, yeah, I cannot imagine just that. I mean, again, it's impressive to say the least. And one of the things that is, you know, not talked about a lot too is, you know, just the whole effect of just, we talked about post show blues, you know, before and everything like that, but are you now more just mentally prepared for it now and just ready for it? Because I've talked to some people where no matter how many times they do it, it's just still a pain in the butt for them.
It is a pain. Hopefully, I don't know. I'm hoping it'll be better this time. It's hard to tell. You know, you always try to think that it's going to be better, and um, I don't know. I'd like to make plans, maybe to travel or do something fun, so that I have things to look forward to rather than think about, you know, what my body's like or what's, you know, what goal I need to have. Because sometimes we just need a break and a little bit of balance in life.
Well, I also love to play devil's advocate on this podcast, and I like to torture my guests. So, what is one food that you would die to have right now as a cheat food?
A chocolate brownie,
Oh my god!
just like a really gooey one with like frosting and
Do you want
stuff
the
on
double
it.
fudge or the single fudge?
Oh, double. It's got to have yeah,
So
yeah.
at the state fair in Minnesota that is opening up in about a week, they have double fudge brownies that then they dip into they dip it in caramel afterwards, and then they dip it in chocolate after that.
Oh my
Sorry,
God,
double
you're
fudge.
killing me.
And
You're
sometimes
killing me here.
and they could deep fry it too sometimes.
Oh my gosh, you're killing me here.
Well, and then we wonder as a nation why we look sometimes the way that we look. And you know, you can point
I
to
know.
you can point to stuff like that. That's a pretty, you know, honest thing. Like the deep fried Twinkies that they got too, where then they also put it in chocolate before, and then the caramel.
Oh
It's
my
like,
gosh, I've never had any of that.
so there's
I need to go to a fair where they serve that stuff and try it.
there is a place right close to my house that like it's a it's a it's not a Target, but it's one of those kind of stores, and they have like parts of the state fair set up there like for like all throughout the summer from like Monday to Sunday. They're just like little like kiosk kind of things that you can go to, and they have the corn dogs and they have the, you know, cheese curds and the mini donuts and everything. And I'm not
Oh,
gonna lie, I had gotten all my workouts in for the week. This was like 3 weeks ago, and I made the dumb mistake of just walking past it, and about $40 later and like 10,000 calories later over the next 2 days, you know, hey, I learned my lesson, but you know, hey, you have to indulge every once in a while. But it
yes.
was like, yeah, I immediately regret this, but I was already in too deep. I couldn't stop then. It's like you can't just have one mini donut and stop. And if you can do that,
No.
you're a straight up psychopath, and I don't want to have any association with you ever. So I've met some of those bodybuilders too where they talk, it's like, yeah, I might give myself like one chip or something like that. And I was like, what kind of torture do you like to put?
What psychopath does that?
I don't
I don't eat it at all, and then when I do, I'm gonna get down on it.
Yeah,
Just for that one meal, you know.
that one
I get
meal.
my cheat meal in, and then I'm good for a while. But
Yeah. So what are your kids or what is your family like as you're at this point in prep? Because I can imagine like you aren't, they know to sort of, you know, not get you too angry and not really do things, but how do they react, especially as you get closer to a show and you just, let's be honest, you get more irritated, and that's just anybody would get more irritated doing that.
yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, they kind of avoid me a little bit.
That's what I would do. I'd just lock myself in my room for like the next 2 months and just be like, okay, I'll come out when she's done.
Yeah, I mean they do. They just kind of avoid me. My youngest is 16, and so he's so busy
Oh
anyway that,
God.
I don't really. He's he works, he's at the gym, he's a great kid, but he's just very busy. So I'm actually grateful when I do see him, so I don't get too irritated with him. But yeah, other people, I don't even like to go to the grocery store because if the person starts talking to me, I'm just like, okay, I gotta go.
I'm
I
glad you
got
said
things
great kid because the moment you
to
said
do.
16, I was like, oh my God, I bet he's a monster and stuff like that. But
No, he's actually really good. Yeah,
that's just
I've
because that's just because
I've had
that's just
the
because
younger
I
one.
know myself at 16. I knew myself at 16, so I was like, I project it onto others.
Yeah,
So
me too. Me too. I was quite a rebel.
poor parents. I wasn't really as much of a rebel as you can just tell. Like once you get me started, I can't stop really. So it's just like it's be careful what you wish for kind of things. Where it's like don't ask me a question and then not be prepared to be like sitting in front of me for the next half hour just hearing about everything. So like I even literally texted this to a friend of mine 3 nights ago. I texted her and I said, "Hey, I just got a vent and some stuff because some stuff's been going on in my life. Are you available or whatever?" She literally messaged me back 2 minutes later going, "I just finished up dinner. I will get my popcorn ready. Come on over." So, you gotta have that kind of support. So then yeah, I said I had to go and vent for, like an hour or something like
Yep,
that.
you
So,
do.
yeah. So is that what you like to do with your coach too? Because I've understood from doing this podcast so many times that coaches basically become physical, like you become therapists basically. It's a part of the job that isn't talked about, but it's like you do become basically the person's therapist as well.
Yeah, for me, when I'm training people, and I think some of them come just for the therapy, you know. I should just have a tag on that says mobile therapist.
I wish. I
So,
wish. I've always found that funny where it's like people just don't understand that aspect. It's like I just want to be a personal trainer, help out people. No, you're gonna listen to their issues. You're gonna have to deal with all that. Like that's the number one thing that probably takes up the most time is just talking to them and learning about them and stuff. It's not the whole that was one thing that I was shocked by too because I did not realize that until I started having guests on and realizing how much more of a support system it all is. And what is your favorite thing about being a personal trainer, and what is your least favorite thing about being a personal trainer?
my favorite thing is seeing people's confidence boost when they start seeing changes in their bodies, whatever changes they want, to happen. That's my favorite thing is when they start to smile more, or they come in the gym wearing something they wouldn't have worn before. Um, those are like big wins for me. My least favorite, um, I think that it's not a consistent, uh, I right now, but form of income.
Brain
Yeah.
fog, everyone. Okay, it's fine. We hear it all.
Yes. I'm really not usually like this.
Oh, believe me, we had
But
one
yeah,
guest who I can tell you her name after the podcast, but literally she would be speaking a sentence and she'd be in the middle of like and then she would go off for about 15 seconds and just say nothing and just stare, and I'd just be like, okay, it's happening. I have like a whole blooper reel off of that basically, which is pretty funny. But yeah, it is not, yeah, it is a lot of like hit and miss where it's you might have clients and then you could have a certain amount of clients one week and then next week it's not a stable source, which is one thing that it's it's kind of almost like being a salesman where it's like you cannot, it really just depends on different factors as well, and just yeah, everything else that entails. But this is a question that I just started asking everyone, which shows how great of a host I've been. It took me about 500 podcasts to come up with asking this question, but I think this every single time I have a guest on who is a bodybuilder, does health and fitness, because it's just the human in me. Why do they do this to themselves? Why do they put themselves through this? I hear all these I see you stumbling your words right now and everything like that. And I'm like, why does she do this to herself? Why does she put herself through this? So, and I bet you still hear that all the time, just from people who, either friends or family, just being like, Wendy, why do you do this to yourself? What is your why? How do you like to respond to that when
yeah.
people just come to you like, Wendy, why?
I like the discipline that it takes to do what I do. I like the feeling. Uh, it's a feeling of power when you can overcome those cravings and just get through the day without eating that brownie that I want so bad. Um, and to me, my body is art, so I can sculpt it however I want to, and I just have to put in the work to do it. So it takes, you know, dieting the right way, whether it's eating more or eating less for whatever I'm doing, and a really hard training, and I can make my body look pretty much how I want it to look.
Is it just
So
fascinating sometimes for you to go back and look at where you started before you started working out and look at now? Because like some of these changes that I've seen, you cannot even tell that they're the same person. So is that just kind of a mind conundrum for you when you look at that? Just be like, I can't believe I went from this to this.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's crazy to me to go from I didn't even know there was such a thing as bodybuilding to this, you know?
So another instance where I like to play devil's advocate. Had you never heard of bodybuilding and never gotten to the gym, what do you think you'd be doing right now? Where do you think you'd be at?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't even know right now. Probably be working a 9 to 5 job, doing the same old thing every day. You know, probably not that happy.
Welcome to the club.
I don't, yeah. I mean, I do work, but you know what I mean? It's
No,
just a
I know.
different, I make my own schedule. So,
At least you'd be
yeah.
able to blend in a little bit more. People wouldn't be like, "Oh, look at her walking down the street." It'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's Wendy going to get coffee and stuff like that." That's the only benefit I think about that is like that's why whenever like everyone talks about like how great it is to be a celebrity, the least thing, the thing that I think is the least is like the amount of attention that you get. Where it's like if only you could be like really famous and not get the attention, where like you couldn't go out to eat without getting just harassed. If only there was a medium to that. It's kind of like with bodybuilding too, where it's like if I could be like in really great shape and not have people just like stare at me all the time like when I'm just
Yeah.
that's the medium that I think there it needs to happen, as well. And God, and I mean, if you go out wearing stuff like that, I mean, God bless you because God knows, that's just like throwing a it's like throwing a steak to a bunch of piranhas out there. So but that's oh my God, I don't even everyone I am on sleep deprived right now, so I'm tongue tied and twisted as well. So I have my own little mini prep brain, I guess, of my own going through this. But I mean, again, Wendy, so what shows are you getting ready for? Do you have shows in mind, or are you just sort of just waiting to see, or what's that going like?
I'm getting ready for North Americans in 2 weeks. So I'm getting pretty excited for that.
So at what point does your sleep really start to suck, or has it already got to that point yet?
It's gotten to that point. It's usually about a month and a half out where it starts to get, you just can't, I don't know why, but I can't sleep very well. So
Again, I don't understand how people do this on little sleep. But at what point in your journey do the veins start to come out? Because I'm one person where I have been as lean as can be. Like when I was in college and really into this, my veins barely showed at all. And then there's some idiots at the gym who have touched one weight and then all of a sudden they're like a human anatomy chart where it just pop. So do you always have them, or is it one of those things where like at a certain point you start to see them come in?
I've always been really veiny, even when I was in high school. But when I get fluffier, they're not like that visible. You know, you don't really notice them that much. But yeah, the minute I start to get lean, they just pop out everywhere.
How I know that I like a person already is if I see them when they're already like super jacked and stuff like that, and there's zero veins at all, and I'm just like, okay, this is the person that I can at least form a nice bond with because they know the struggle of like of all that. But hey, it's just another thing that happens here. But I mean, again, everyone go and check out Wendy's Instagram page. I'll leave a link down below, and buyer beware. You will get inspired to get off that couch and stop eating all those Twinkies. Although, if you do go to the state fair and get those Twinkies, more power to you because that is just, I mean, that's making my mouth water right now thinking about them. But Wendy, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, this does look a little bit better. Okay, so I was almost going to have another heart attack again. All right. Hold on here. I'd say just move the camera down just a little bit then. Or yeah, just like, yeah, move
It won't.
it.
I'll just like do this. Is that better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. Hold on one second here. I am just making sure
Here,
that
I can move it more. Is that better?
yeah, it went back to being glitchy again. Oh my. All right, hang on. We'll see. Hang on. Sometimes it just takes a while for it to come and go. Oh my, because I was relooking through the stuff. Like there's some parts of it that are fine and stuff like that, and then through my editing magic and stuff, it'll be fine. But all right, it's looking clearer now. It might just be one of those things where I just have to do a lot of editing, which is no problem at all. I got nothing else to do the rest of the day anyway. So all right, so I will go ahead then. I'd say I'd say just like I don't know, like move up then a little bit, then like a little bit like taller then, just because like yeah, it is. Yeah, there we go. All right. So I'll just go ahead and I will just do some of the questions that I knew didn't work out the first time, and then we'll just do all those and get that out of the way. All right. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I mean, one of the things that I find really just fascinating about, especially when you're in this lifestyle, I mean, just we talk all the time about the dedication. We talk about all the other things that apply to it. But also, one thing that isn't really talked about as well is just the whole mindset and just everything that goes along with. Hang on, I just flubbed that one up right there. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. We're going to get this. This is blooper reel Hall of Fame type of stuff here. So for this at least we will have that. So all right, so in 3, 2, 1. But I mean, aside from the dedication, the obvious stuff that the general public sees when they think about like bodybuilding and what it entails, what are some of the little things about the sport that you think most people in the general public really aren't aware of that really impact you the most?
That's a hard one. That impact me the most. I think that we're normal people like everybody else. We gain weight in our off season. We don't always look shredded. People think that we just look like this all the time just because of social media. I try to post a lot of my off season stuff too, so people can kind of see, that I'm kind of a normal person too. But and you just feel that, like, you feel fluffy and everything in your off season, and um people make comments, and they think it's okay, to, I don't know, shame your body, regardless of, they think it's okay to say you're gross or whatever, you look like a man. I even had somebody one time that I actually trained, who I was in my off season and or improvement season, I should say. Um, but she had seen me when I was shredded, and then later on she saw me in my off season and she said, "Wow, you weren't kidding when you said off season." And that actually hurt my feelings, because I was like, so it's okay for you to call me fat, but I can't call somebody else fat. You know what I mean? There's just, I don't know,
I
kind
have
of a double
society wise,
standard.
I have found that to be the funniest, not the funniest thing, but like it's just so ironic that like yeah, if I were to rip on if I were to rip on like a severely obese person, like I'd be ripped to shreds on social media and all the other, even in general public too. But if I were to walk up to you and be like, "Oh, you look gross and disgusting," most people wouldn't even care. They would just be like, "Oh yeah, whatever." So I've always found that to be just so fascinating that that's just how things are right now. But is it hard for you to post those photos of your off season, because you are one of those people that does post a lot of off season photos, and I appreciate that because it does provide like a much more realistic journey of what this lifestyle is, because a lot of people, they just see the in show photos, so then they just assume that it's like that all year round. Is that hard for you to post those photos, or has it gotten to a point where you just don't really care?
It is hard, but I want to be real with people. I think it's important. I really want to be more real with women, especially, and empower them to be who they are and feel comfortable, and realize that, we all have our struggles, and, we all end up with cellulite or stretch marks or whatever it may be. I mean, everybody has their struggle, and I mean, none of us are perfect. So we just need to accept ourselves the way that we are.
Please tell me that you at least take like 10,000 photos though every time you're shredded, because that's all I would do. I would overload my phone and my memory with photos just so I could at least look at that and have something to look at.
Well, I have to because I actually have to check in with my coach every single day, but I don't want to.
Mhm.
I really don't. It gets so old. I'm not really one of those people.
Yeah.
I'm not like the person in the gym that's taking selfies all day. I just get in there and I want to get it done. And no.
Well, and another thing that I think this sport really does help out with is people's comfort levels. Like you become, especially if you are able to walk on a stage in a bikini basically and pose in front of people, it really helps out a lot, I think, with other aspects of your life. Is that one of those things where you do think that it has helped you out with like self-confidence in other areas? Because if you're able to do that, I mean, I could almost assume that I would be able to do anything myself.
It really has. When I was younger, I couldn't wear a bathing suit without feeling self-conscious or and everything. And now I'm just like, whatever. Even in my off season, I don't care. I may be chunky or whatever a little bit. I mean, to my standards, but I just whatever. You can think what you think, but I'm gonna wear what I wear.
Are you planning on still being on prep during the holidays this winter? Because that's a whole different topic that I just drives me crazy when I talk to people that like actually have to have a modified Thanksgiving or a modified Christmas Eve, and it's like, you poor thing.
I don't plan on it, but I'm gonna see what happens at North Americans, and we'll go from there.
Well, and
So,
we
yeah.
everyone, I mean, we are recording this over two times because the first time the audio and the video was just a little bit glitchy. But since we did talk, I mean, we were talking about on the previous time that I had her on a couple days ago, we talked about how the Arnold is canceling, the women's physique and the women's bodybuilding. It just got announced in between times we were talking that they're canceling figure too. So I don't know what's going on there, everyone. So who knows?
Every To me, it just seems like all of the classes that have more muscle are being canceled, you know? It's just weird.
Pretty soon they'll just be able to take women off the street then that look like they might have ran a few miles every day or something like that, and then they'll be able to. I mean, I do I don't understand it because and it's the Arnold. It's like it's named after the dude that basically popularized bodybuilding more than anyone else in the history of the sport. And yeah, I don't understand that myself. And I mean, I haven't even heard what they've released as a statement yet, and when it does, I'll definitely probably just post something about it because I do find it, it's like it is ridiculous that happens to be the case. But so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, even removing figure, it's like that is, I mean, if you're gonna remove like bodybuilding, like sure maybe, but it's like when you go down to the figure, it's like what's so I don't get it myself. It is yeah, it is interesting to see what it's going to be like maybe in like 5 to 10 years where it has it in the sport. But just I mean, we've talked about this before, but I just love to bring it up again in case anyone didn't listen to our first podcast that we did. I mean, just the camaraderie in this sport is something that is so mind-blowing to me because like when I went to my first show a couple weeks ago, people who were teammates of each other, they were running up to the front of the stage taking photos of everyone, taking videos. I mean, and even backstage too, and outside the venue where everyone was taking their photos together with like either the photographers or just together, like everyone was so friendly to each other, everyone was just so caring for each other. What is that like as an athlete? I mean, that just must be something that just must be incredible to experience, just that type of camaraderie and that friendship that a lot of people in the sport have with each other.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best things about the sport. Um, in fact, when I've been talking to one of the athletes that's competing at North Americans on Instagram, and we're gonna meet up the morning. She's gonna hang out with me because she can't get to her hotel room right away. So she's got a rental car, and we're gonna go to the store together. And I mean, we're both competing in bodybuilding, and that's just, I mean, you just make friends even on Instagram, and you go, and sometimes you'll meet people that you've been following on Instagram and become really good friends with them that way. And it's it's a really cool sport. It's just amazing.
That's what really I think separates the sport from a lot of other things is just yeah, that camaraderie, because you don't see that normally in a lot of other sports where people are just that genuine and that friendly to each other, especially when you're competing on the same stage as them. And I mean, everyone likes to talk about the training, but not too many people like to talk about like the rest and all that stuff that it entails. Other than just sleep, what are some ways that you try to like rest and recuperate? Because so many people, when they hear the term rest or recuperate, they just think about sleep.
Uh, Massage is a good way for me to recover. Sometimes just taking a nap in the middle of the day, which is still sleep, but I mean, if you need it. Stretching is a good way to rest. Taking a bath with like Epsom salts for 20, 30 minutes. That's another good way to rest. Even just spending time with family. Like sometimes you just need to go have coffee with a friend or something like that and just not think about training, bodybuilding, whatever it may be. You just need to not think about any of that, just go hang out with somebody.
Please tell me you're not one of those psychopaths though that when they go and get their massages, they get the crap beat out of them basically. Where like I've seen some of those photos afterwards where everyone's just they're just purple in the back basically, and it's just do you do those or do
I
you
am.
just oh god.
I am. I have to. I can't. I'm so beat up from training. I have to get those muscles worked out. Yeah, I call my massage therapist Rambo.
So does that how long does that hurt afterwards? Because I've had people talk to me, it's like, oh, it only hurts for maybe like a day afterwards and then you feel fine. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, there's been times it's been like 3 days where I can't even lean back on a chair. My back is so tender to the touch. I just can't. Yeah.
What is the reasoning behind just beating the crap out of yourself like that, like with massage? Is it just to loosen the tension, or what is that? Because like if you were to
It
just
breaks up the scar
okay,
tissue and opens up your muscles, and you want to break up that scar tissue or you're not going to grow.
okay.
Mhm.
I thought some of these people were just gluttons for punishment, and they're just like, I just like the feeling of just breaking
Yeah,
everything in my
no.
body. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know these days, but yeah, I guess that I mean, yeah, breaking up scar tissues that does sound like a pretty good reason, honestly, myself, and just like we talked about the reactions that you get in public and stuff, but everyone for all the negative reactions that they might have, there's always the positive ones. I think far outweigh. What was what's one memory of a positive interaction that you have that really stands out above everything else?
Um, Let me think here.
No
There's been a
problem.
few really, but there's one, this younger guy in our gym actually was training a female, and I told him he was doing a good job. I just mentioned it to him one day. I said, "You need to be a trainer. You're doing a good job." And he said, "Oh my God, you've been my inspiration since I started coming here, and I'm actually going to school to be a coach, a dietitian, and a personal trainer. And I've been watching you around the gym for months, and um, you just inspired me so much." And it made me feel good because it came from a guy. I don't know why, but like usually I hear from females, that they want to look like me or something. And it was cool that it came from a young guy. He was like in his 20s, and I don't know, made me feel good.
It's always yeah, it's always just sometimes it's just the little things too where that's when I've asked people that it's usually like the little things where that they tend to mean the most just because they just come out of nowhere and they're just really happy and it does mean a world of difference. I've always said to people, one compliment can really change someone's life and you don't know how important, that can be to someone because we don't know, you can't tell what everyone is going through. So that is a piece of advice that, anyone out there, I highly recommend doing. But just as you're getting closer and closer to your shows right now, does your mentality about anything in this sport change at all, or do you just still keep the same mentality because I don't know with how dieted down you are and how everything else that entails in this lifestyle? Do you change at all your mentality when it comes to this lifestyle, or is it still you're just lasered in focused?
Um, I'm lasered and focused right now. I'm just, the closer I get, the more excited I get. I tend to get a little bit cranky because I just want it to be here, which is weird. I mean, you'd think I'd be cranky farther out because I want it to be here because it's so far out. But the closer it gets, I'm like, just can we fast forward already? I just want to be there. I want everything happening. I want to get my tan. I want to get my suit on. I want to,
Yeah.
I'm ready for this. Like, it's just exciting to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, and if I were to look at my schedule and see another day of, a lot of cardio and all that, so I'd be like, yeah, let's just get it over with. Let's just do this,
Yeah.
do this right now. But what is your favorite part about show day, and what is your least favorite part about show day?
Uh, my favorite part is actually going out on stage and showing my hard work, everything that I've put into it. I mean, regardless of how it ends, it's just, you're out there and you're just ready to show what you've done all this time. Um, Least favorite is getting up at 3 a.m. or whatever and going and getting makeup done and hair, and I'm not one that likes to just sit there and get all that shit done. I hate getting my hair done and stuff. I really do. I like to look pretty, but I wish somebody, the Simpsons gun when Homer like shoots
You
Marge
you
with the
have it set to
gun
horror
and it
though.
like splatters makeup on her face.
Yeah,
That's what I want.
yeah,
I just want somebody to shoot me with the makeup gun.
yeah. I mean, I was
That
not
would
aware
be cool.
myself how much of a time commitment it was. Where like it's an all day thing. People just assume that, oh, you walk on the stage and then you're done. It's like, no, you have your prejudging, then you have your finals after. Like it's an all day affair that I was not aware of too when I
Yes.
went to the show. Where and then yeah, like you're talking about some of these guests, it's like a 16-hour day for them basically. Then if they're up at like
Oh my
3 a.m.
god,
and
and
it's up
that's
to
another
yeah.
thing I hate too, is, like, you have prejudging and then you have to wait. So, like, I go this for this show, I'll have Women's Physique Friday, and then the next day I go to Women's Bodybuilding, and then I have to wait all day to go to finals, and that's, like, I'd rather just do it all at once,
Mhm.
you know? So, yeah,
Yeah,
that's another thing.
that is another huge thing as well. I now make the joke where if I ever competed and I knew I was gonna get first place, in between prejudging finals, I would have like 10 Big Macs. Just walk out there with just a bloated stomach, just bloated as all can be. And be like, thank you for my first place trophy. Because I didn't realize a lot of times too that like most of the judging is done, in prejudging, unless it's so close that like they have to have another look. But a lot of times, like, because when I went to the show, like they had guests come out and pose for maybe like a minute, and then they were just like, oh, okay, here's the winner. And then you're like, wait, did they really take that
Mm.
quick? And they're like, no, they already have it from prejudging. So I was like, okay, I would just troll everyone and just have like 10 Big Macs and then just walk out there with just a big beer gut and just be like, hey, how's it going, everyone? So hand me my first place trophy. So again, another reason why I don't compete, everyone. I would come up with a way to, flub it and do all of that. And just I mean, the evolution of this lifestyle is just, so fascinating for me. And one of the biggest things, especially since you are someone that, you help other people get in shape and you do all that stuff too. There are so many fads in this lifestyle and this sport in general that come along. I mean, every year there seems to be 100 different ways on how to get in shape when it's like, well, people have been doing it a certain way for a certain period of time. How do you like to, or how would you tell someone to like help them guide through all of the BS? Because I see so many people get trapped in these fads and it's sad to see.
Mhm. Um, First, you need to pick something that's going to work for you. I don't believe in fads. You need to just eat a balanced diet, but you need to do something that's going to work for you. If you're not the type of person that can handle a crap ton of protein, then don't eat that much protein. You do need to get a good amount, but not everybody's going to be able to get in 150 grams a day. Um, if you're the type that can't handle a lot of fat, then don't do keto. I mean, there's just so many things. Some people don't like to go to the gym, so don't. If you don't like to go, then don't. You can start walking outside or go hiking or find things that you enjoy. I mean, you have to make it a lifestyle that's doable for you.
Too many people think, yeah, that working out is or going to the gym is the be all end all mode for getting in shape. And it's like, no, I know people that do yoga. I know people that like, yeah, they're bikers and they just go biking all the time and they're in good shape. And I mean, yeah, so many people just think, oh, if I fail at one of those things, then it's not going to work out. And it's like, no, there's vastly more people that don't work out and are in shape, or that don't lift weights that are in shape, than there are, I think, people that lift weights and are in shape. I think when you really get down to it. And I mean, Wendy, when we do have you on a year from now, where would you like to be at just in your bodybuilding journey? Where would you like to be at in your overall life? What are some goals that you'd like to have achieved?
I would like to obviously have my pro card and hopefully be at least shooting for a pro show. If I haven't competed in one by then, at least be preparing for one.
All right. Yeah. That
whether it's building or yeah.
Well, it's always a bill. How have you also? I mean, I have to ask because I just thought of it too. It's like this is always. You're never going to be good enough. You're never going to be big enough. As soon as you enter into this lifestyle, they should make you like sign a contract that says like I hereby acknowledge that I will never be good enough. I will never be big enough. How do you deal with that constant cycle of just
Mhm.
you're never going to be good enough for yourself? And that's I mean, people that don't even work out. I mean, they deal with that in other aspects of life, but that's in bodybuilding. I think that just gets amplified to a million because like yeah, I've talked to some of the most in shape people on the planet and they don't think that they're good enough. And it's like, well, okay, I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah. That's actually what drives me. It keeps me going. It's what motivates me to go to the gym. I mean, that's every day I'm like, I want to be better. I need to get better. I want to be better. So whatever it is I need to work on, that's what I'm gonna hammer it out. So
Yeah. Well, all right. So that does, that's what I think I got all of the, I got all